Hi everyone, this is Koikoi. I know I've already made a short, a TikTok and a reel about this, but I just wanted to share my experience about writing a book in more detail. So this video is supposed to be kind of maybe overall for people who also want to write a book but don't know how to make people read it, and just for my followers as well. If you're interested in learning about how my book was made. Because if you are following me, you probably already know that, hopefully you already know that I have written a book. I have written this one. It's called Deep WATERZ 1, Table for 3, and it's available on Amazon and Wattpad. Also look, I got a mic. Now I'm like a real YouTuber. Deep WATERZ is an indie sci-fi horror trilogy with hints of comedy, action and adventure, and dark love between the main characters. It heavily takes inspiration from Splatoon, especially Octo expansion, and also the Deep Sea, both the scary legends and real facts about it. It takes place far in the future in a dystopian cyberpunk water environment where sirens called the Aqualings and Deeplings have taken over the planet. The first book follows the story of the main protagonist, Cordelia Kelby, who is a young immortal box jellyfish hybrid living in a dystopian society called the Aquaverse. The society has gotten out of hand during her high school years, and dangerous mutated beasts keep breaking through the ground barrier from the Deep WATERZ, the separate society that exists underneath the Aquaverse. Most citizens of the Aquaverse, known as the Aqualings, fear Cordelia because of her deadly venom, making the girl wish she could do something big to feel more accepted in this world. Due to this wish, along with her being worried about her mother because of the mutant break-in cases occurring more and more often with time, she meets an octopus called Marino, who invites her to accompany him in exploring the forbidden deep waters. And Cordelia's best and only friend, a squid named Arnav, hears about this dangerous plan. He ends up insisting he comes along to protect Cordelia. Together, they create a group chat called The Squad, and the protagonist ventures deep into the deep waters to find out the cause of these incidents. However, once they make it into the deep waters, they pretty quickly realize they don't want to be there any longer, but have no way out because... Okay, read to find out. I'm not spoiling too much again. The first step to my bookmaking journey was, of course, the idea collecting and getting the overall inspiration for my book. I got the idea in 2024, if I remember correctly. That was exam period. So I needed to kind of relax, and I found myself finding that kind of peace and comfort in watching sea documentaries. I got really hyperfixated on marine animals. That's how I ended up getting the idea to at the time I wasn't going to write about any deep sea animals or sea animals in general. I just saw some pretty fish, I saw some pretty jellyfish, and I wanted to make them into characters in those seas. So I started sketching them. At the time I didn't know that it was going to be a story. I didn't know that they were going to be characters. The first OC I made based on marine animals was Cordelia. I also made a Draw This in Your Style post. My first Draw This in Your Style post was with Cordelia. After that, I decided that I liked her a lot, and I made her 2 more companions. Of course, first was Cordelia, but I decided that they would kind of complement each other. If I made 3 characters who all kind of work together, I knew I wanted a specific color palette, and I knew that I wanted a jellyfish character, a squid character, and an octopus character. So then I just started kind of giving them each their roles. Of course, Cordelia was already decided she was going to be a girl, she was going to be a jellyfish. So she was ready, I was already drawing her. And then I made her 2 more characters. I made her Arnav and Marino. At first I didn't even know what species each of them was gonna be. So it's just interesting to think how, for example, Arnav's name could now be Marino in some alternative universe, and Marino will be Arnav. That's interesting. Once I made the characters, I just couldn't stop drawing them, thinking about them, until I got a story idea. I've always had a fear of the deep sea, and I got a random idea one day to make a comical horror story. At first I actually planned for the story to be a webtoon comic, but then I started to write the plot down because I wouldn't know what to draw if there was no story. So I started writing it down, and the more I wrote it, the more I just started to like it as a book. And at one point I just decided that I'm gonna make a book. That was probably when I finished writing the prologue. So the first part was getting an idea. The second step was to actually brainstorm the story and more of the characters, background characters, and Marino, Arnav, Cordelia's personalities and backstories. I made a Google Docs file where I just started to write all kinds of different information about them. The first thing I made was character brainstorms, like just some bullet points about their appearances, personalities, some hints about their backstories, random facts that I randomly got because I thought a lot about my book. I still do. The key to writing a good book that actually people would like is probably to just, you yourself have to be hyperfixated on your book. You have to be obsessed with your characters, your story, because if you're not obsessed, then how are you going to make the readers obsessed? Well, because Deep Waters is a sci-fi novel, I started world building. I started to write all kinds of keywords about the environment, the society, and all kinds of different things that I should know when I'm writing a book about a place far in the future. I didn't write it at first I wrote the characters, then I wrote the environment and so on. Usually I just write based on what I'm currently thinking. Whatever seemed necessary at the time, or whenever I got a new idea, I just immediately wrote it down. When I'm in a hurry, I write it in my notes app, and then later I put it in the docs file. Once the overall characters, environment, that was all ready, then I started to plan out the story. I made guidelines for each chapter. I started outlining them, started writing down bullet points for them too, prologue, what happens there. That was pretty much the brainstorm part. So the third step was, of course, writing. Like I said, I was already halfway or maybe fully done with the prologue when I finally decided that I was going to make this into a novel. For the writing part, I kind of just freestyled it. I think you just write better when you don't even think about it. You just let your thoughts fly, you just write down whatever you think is best and just worry about it in the editing part. I wrote nearly 400 pages. In the writing part, I kind of just did my thing. I think that's the most fun part. I just listened to my playlists. I still like to draw the characters. That's basically all about the writing part that I can say. So the first step was editing, which definitely, probably, maybe took the most time out of the whole bookmaking process. I edited the whole book, 400 pages, about 5-6 times from the prologue to the finish. And not just editing the grammar and whatnot, but also formatting. The fifth step was beta reading, which that also is basically a part of editing, formatting for me. Beta reading is just you give your book to some people to read. For example, my family read the book and they edited the file and gave me feedback on what they liked, what they didn't like, and I made some changes to the final product based on their feedback. The sixth step was illustrating, though I don't know if that really counts as a step, because that also just goes into the formatting, the editing process for me. And also, like I said, while editing, while writing, I was constantly drawing all the scenarios and illustrations. So I don't know if that counts as a separate kind of step, but I did kind of have to draw a few things, or well, put things together that I wouldn't usually draw. Like these kinds of pages. You can't really see that, can you? These kinds of pages that are just for decoration. And the seventh step was then publishing. I decided to self-publish. As much as I researched what would be the best way to self-publish, it seemed like the most popular way was to publish via Amazon. So I decided to try that. But of course, knowing me, I ended up getting very lost there as well. So on Amazon, I published an ebook version of Deep Waters and also the physical copies. I announced the publishing thing on December 24th, 2025. So a little bit over a year after announcing the whole Deep Waters thing, after I made the whole Deep Waters trio and said that I'm planning on making a book. So I made a little short video about it and screamed all over my platforms that I wrote a book. Oh, and I also illustrated the kind of poster-like thing for Deep Waters 1. And also, like I said, I also published on Wattpad. The whole book isn't on Wattpad, nor does it have any illustrations or anything. The Wattpad version is just part 1 of my book. The Deep Waters trilogy books are kind of like this, that one of the books has 3 parts in it. Part 1, part 2, part 3. I think I'll probably put it in the description. You can just go to my Wattpad and you can read the first part of Deep Waters 1. The last but not least step was, of course, promoting. I advertised Deep Waters on social media, but I wouldn't say that it's like the last thing I did. I didn't do it like in this specific order. That I wrote the book, I published the book, and then I promoted. I was promoting Deep Waters even before I published it. For promoting, I really just posted OC art, posted TikToks, Reels, Shorts. That's all I had to say about how I wrote my book. I don't really have much else to add. If you'd like to know anything else, anything specific that I maybe forgot to mention, you can ask me in the comments. And that's all from me for now. Thank you so much for watching, and that's all. Bye bye!